A warm morning to everyone. I'm Krishna Priya from Foundation for Excellence, and this is truly a privilege to welcome you all to today's medical webinar on From Algorithms to Outcomes AI's Role in Modern Medicine. This session is especially exciting as we explore how artificial intelligence is not just a buzzword, but a real force transforming the future to healthcare. We are really honored to have with us Mr. Ankit Modi, the founding member and chief product officer at Qure.AI, a global pioneer in AI-powered healthcare solutions. Under his leadership, Cure's innovations reach 100 plus countries and 4,500 hospitals, impacting over 25,000 of lives every single day. Mr. Modi has led groundbreaking AI products addressing tuberculosis, lung cancer, and stroke, from reducing the TB diagnosis time from weeks to minutes to enabling faster stroke triage through automated brain CT interpretation. He also spearheaded IRA, an AI assistant transforming primary healthcare delivery at the last mile. With 200 plus peer reviewed papers, 36 patents, and 18 FDA clearances, his journey truly exemplifies how purpose driven technology can save lives and make quality healthcare accessible to all. So, let us all extend a very warm welcome to Mr. Ankit Modi. Over to you, Mr. Ankit.
Thank you so much, KP. And that is one impressive story that you heard and your achievements, Ankit. Congratulations on all you've achieved and the work that you've done in medicine. Over to you. We look forward to hearing.
Thanks, Taruna. Thanks, Krishna Priya. Thanks for a very warm welcome and solid intro. Initially when I was asked to speak to a bunch of medical professionals, I was wondering, I come from a very technical background, and what should I speak about AI that would make sense for this kind of audience? Uh, what I realized was that, around 5 or 6 years ago, like the company has been running since 10 years, but around 5, 6 years ago, even us who have been building AI since 10 years had no idea that something like a chat GPT or something like video generation, audio to text would become so prevalent in just 5 years of time. So it's very difficult to predict where it will go in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years, because technology by its nature sort of keeps accelerating the kind of growth it sees, right? So what happened in 10 years, 50 years ago versus what can happen in 10 years today is very, very different. So I would not go into predicting what might happen, but I would like to give you a glimpse into our journey, what kind of changes we have seen over the last 10 years in our journey, and hopefully it will give you some semblance of where things might go, a sort of a direction where things might be headed in the near and the distant future. And as medical professionals, yourself, what you should expect in the coming 3, 4 decades of your career. So I would start with sort of giving a brief intro of the company, and then I will talk about what learning actually means. I would try to keep it as non-technical as possible, and then sort of elaborate use cases, how it's impacting medicine today with different stories from around the world. Yeah. So let me know once you can see my screen. So coming to the company today, Cure is the most deployed healthcare AI solution in the world. We are present across 100 plus countries, around 4,700 hospitals and sites, and have been able to impact 35 million plus lives positively. This year, we are also named as 100 most influential companies of the world by Times, and within the healthcare category, within the AI category, we were named with the likes of OpenAI and Anthropic and all the big names that you hear. About Cure, what we do is we analyze medical imaging with AI and try to understand the signs of different diseases present in them. So, for example, we have products around head CT scans for neurological findings. We have products on chest CT scans for lung nodule management. Then on chest X-rays, we try to find signs of tuberculosis, lung cancer, heart failure. And why did we come up with this idea was pretty simple, right? Let me just go into what learning means, what is it that we mean when we say learning, right? So the genesis of the idea was pretty simple. Back in 2014, 15, I mean, everybody was on social media. Facebook was prevalent, and when you uploaded pictures on Facebook, the application or the app would ask you, do you want to tag your friend X, Y, Z? And which was very interesting for us, like in the sense that like the imaging AI could recognize faces from these pictures, which basically led to the genesis of the idea that if AI can recognize faces from normal pictures, it can recognize cats and dogs and all kinds of things. Can we use the same technology to recognize patterns from medical images? And we started with chest X-rays for the same. Now, coming to learning, right? Like, I mean, I will take you back to your childhood and try to just think through how do you actually learn, right? So, for example, very simple thing like reading. What does reading basically mean? So, first of all, I mean, you try to understand as a 1 year old child different shapes, right? Like, I mean, this is a different shape than this one, this is a different shape than this one. So you basically like sort of just recognize differentiation between different kinds of shapes. Then, like, I mean, a year later, you start putting names to these shapes, right? So you understand what is A, what is B, what is C. Then the same child would combine some of these letters and try to understand or differentiate between sounds, right? So basically E, O, O. And then these becomes phonics. Uh, from phonics, you go on to words. From words, you start forming sentences. And then from sentences, you start forming stories or talk to each other or read books and whatever. So you see, like something as simple as reading has so much depth in terms of learning. And we take it for granted in the sense that, like, I mean, we don't understand how difficult it is to actually read as a task. And you have to teach all of that to a computer to be able to understand a text, to be able to converse with you. Similarly, I mean, if there is a simple thing like walking from one corner of a room to the second corner, right? It's to us it feels very natural, we take it for granted, but actually, like, I mean, what is it that you are doing at a very micro level? You are basically, your eyes are scanning the entire room, you are placing objects in the room, then you are basically trying to understand which are the objects that might come in your path that you have to avoid, so you chart out a path similarly. And that's how complicated it is to go from one room to second room. For a child, you would see a child struggle with all of that. So a computer, I mean, in a similar way, is a very, very dumb device, much, much dumber than human beings. It's just that it is very fast at whatever it does, right? Like, I mean, if we can write a page in, say, 5 minutes, a computer can write that in 1 second. So it's very fast, but it's actually very, very dumb. Teaching something to computers is extremely, extremely hard. Now, when it comes to imaging AI, a lot of you would hear about neural networks. And it's important to understand what imaging actually means for computers, right? So any image for a computer is basically a grid of numbers, right? So, for example, a black and white image of a letter 8, right? What does it mean is that the black portion, so any image consists of pixels. You might hear about pixels from when you're buying a camera, right? It's a set 16 megapixel camera, 42 megapixel camera. It basically means how many pixels are there when an image is clicked by that camera, and each pixel is basically a number. So 0 is basically black, completely black, and 256 is basically completely white. So between 0 to 256, you basically have a range, and wherever there is more whiteness, those regions are higher, whereas wherever there is more blackness, I mean, those regions are very small in intensity. So this numerical value is called intensity. And you merge basically different grids on top of each other, RGB, red, blue, and green, to create colorful pictures. What I am showing you is just a black and white image, right? Now, over here, you will see when you Google neural networks, you would see you would get something of this sort, right? Like, I mean, there are these different layers and they're interacting with each other. So, what basically it means is that this image is being fed to the first neuron. So, all these small circles are called neurons. there are multiple layers in a neural network. So suppose take this example, there are 5 neurons here, 5 neurons here. So the input to this neural network would be this image. uh, this layer will take it as an input. It will generate some output based on mathematical calculations, and then that output will be consumed by this input, and then so on, right? Like, I mean, input or output of one is an input to other neural another layer in the same neural network. What I mean by that is, say, for example, suppose this is the image, right? And this is one neuron, right? What this means is that each neuron is basically scanning through the entire image and trying to find some patterns. So it's like you can imagine it as the neuron as a torch, and the image as a wall, right? So you point the torch at one corner of the room, and then you keep scanning the entire wall, right? So this animation basically tries to shows you that. And what you are doing is this: you are imposing this small kernel or filter that we are calling on this image, the corner part of this image. You are multiplying numbers with each other, and then you are generating one output. So this is what we mean when you feed an image to first layer. This is the sort of gray output that you would generate, right? Now, like, I mean, if you look at the second animation, you can see that, just a second, you will see that when this kernel passes through this image, this is the sort of output that it generates. This is the most technical part of the presentation, and I'll not talk about any more mathematics after this. So just bear with me on this. What I'm trying to make you understand is that the key point is the output of one layer is an input to second layer. So now that will become evident with this example. So suppose you have to recognize faces from an image. What it means is that when a face is entered into a neural network, the first layer does nothing but just identifies corners and edges, right? So if you look at this layer, can you see my mouse? So over here, you will see these different edges and corners. Now, this is the output of the first layer. This goes as input to the second layer. The second layer tries to combine these edges and corners, and then it tries to recognize uh, sort of organs, I would say, like eyes or noses or lips. Uh, so that becomes the output for the second layer. Now, this second layer's output becomes an input to the third layer. The third layer would then understand from all the outputs of the second layer whether the eyes are at the right place or nose is at the right place, lips are at the right place, and then it will basically predict whether this is an image of a human being or not, right? So I'm just trying to simplify everything, but this is what is essentially going on underneath, right? So for example, I would say that, I mean, this is what outputs of different layers would look like. And then once you are confirmed that, okay, these are actually faces, you can add like sort of additional layers to then recognize whose faces these are, whether it is Elon Musk or whether it is Jeff Bezos or whether it is Jon Snow. So that is how, like, I mean, the entire flow works out. Now, for medical imaging, I mean, you can understand that the input would be a chest X-ray. Now, chest X-ray is extremely hard than normal images. Why, we will come to that later. But essentially, that is what will be happening. Like a neural network with one layer will take just chest X-ray as input. Its outputs will be consumed by this next layer. And finally, you expect to get an output which basically says normal or abnormal, right? Now, coming to the point where I was trying to make you understand why medical images are harder is because when you are training an algorithm, you are training an algorithm on a set of features. So, say, for example, if I have to just classify whether these points are green or between green and red crosses, the only features I have is basically X and Y coordinates of them, right? So, uh, if it's at this point, it is green, which is basically a certain variation of X and Y coordinate. Uh, or, I mean, if you take a simple example, like classifying something as oranges or apples, right? Like, I mean, you have just like sort of one input to your eye. Uh, Say, for example, if you have to predict the price of a property, right? Now, there you would see that what are the features that are involved. Like, I mean, if you're buying a house, for example, what are the things you would consider? You would consider carpet area, built-up area, whether there is parking or not, whether there is a modular kitchen or not, fireplace or not. So all of these becomes different features based on which you decide the fair price of a house. So now to predict the price of a property, you would need so many like sort of features to make a prediction upon. Now, if you look at uh, a natural image, what is happening is that, so first example, you have two features. This example, you have 15 to 20 features. Now, this is an image, right? So say, for example, if you have a 1 megapixel image, 1 megapixel would have, I don't know, around 500 cross 500 pixels. So 500 into 500 would be around 250,000 pixels, and 250,000 pixels is a lot. So that is why image processing is very, very difficult. And within image processing, if you take a chest X-ray is almost 1,000 cross 1,000 in size, which is basically almost 1 million pixels. So on to make a prediction on 1 million pixels is then becoming extremely hard. If you take a CT scan, then just the one slice of that CT scan would have 10 million pixels, and then it has 500 slices on top of it, which basically becomes almost a billion parameters on which you have to train your algorithm. So that is why image processing is much, much harder than like sort of these simpler problems. And within image processing as well, medical imaging is very, very hard, because uh, if you another thing that you should notice is that if I have to predict whether this image has cat or not, then the cat is occupying almost 70% of this image, right? Sometimes it would be 30%, sometimes it would be 90%, but it occupies a significant portion of that image. Whereas in chest x-ray, I mean, a very, very small nodule might be present here, which would occupy less than 2% of the entire imaging area. So that becomes even like sort of much, much harder problem over there. It's like trying to recognize the pupil of the cat's eye is what would be equivalent to identify a signs of disease on chest x-ray, right? So that's why when you have millions of parameters to train on, you need millions of radiology images and corresponding reports to actually train a meaningful algorithm, right? That is where, I mean, the first part of the presentation is done. I will move on to the next part, which is basically about, I see one hand raised by Faizan Reza. Is there a question? Right?
I'll check with him, Ankit, separately on chat box. If he has a question, I'll ask him to put it in the Q&A box. We
Okay,
can go
sure.
ahead. Yes.
Yeah. So now coming back to AI interpretability, right? So now it's not enough when you say that this X-ray is normal or abnormal, or this X-ray has lung cancer or not lung cancer. You also have to explain that why you are saying what you are saying, because otherwise, like, I mean, AI sort of becomes a black box, and that is not okay at all. Now, I will explain why interpretability, and as doctors, whenever you are evaluating like sort of new AI tools in your future career, you should always try to judge whether the software is giving you the interpretability of the decisions that it is making. Because if not, it can go horribly wrong. And I will just explain with a couple of examples why this is important. These are not medical examples, just from the real world. So this is an image. This is a story about the Second World War, right? The Allies power, which is where basically the Britishers were sending a lot of aircrafts to fight for them, and this was basically, I mean, an airborne war, and a lot of these fighter jets were being shot, right? Some of them were returning and some of them were not returning. They were so badly shot. So the army basically decided to analyze which aircrafts are returning and which aircrafts are not returning, because they wanted to place extra safety, extra metal on the parts of the aircraft which were badly hit. So they analyzed that, and then the data came out like this, right? So, say for example, the engine had around one bullet. The damage for the damaged aircrafts, the engine had around one bullet per square foot. The fuselage had around 1.73 bullets per square foot. The fuel system had 1.5, whereas the rest, the body of the plane had around 1.8 or 2 bullets per square foot. So now, if you look at that data, you would, and if you have a limited amount of metal to double protect your aircraft, you would feel like the body of the plane is being hit the most, right? Because it's two aircrafts. Like, I mean, if you interpret from this data, you would feel like the rest of the plane is getting hit a lot. So most of the safety or the most of the extra metal should be put on the body of the plane. Now, if you look at that data, I mean, you would be making a horrible decision. Why? Because the planes that you have are actually the planes which have survived and come back. So if, say, suppose the engine of the plane was hit, that plane was shot and just like sort of went down then and there. So it was not able to even return to your base, right? So that's why the probability of a plane returning back after being hit on the engine is very, very low. But if you don't have that context, you only look at the data that is present in front of you, you would make a mistake of assuming that, okay, rest of the plane is getting hit a lot, so let me protect the rest of the plane more, right? Whereas what is harmful is basically getting hit on the engine because those planes are not even returning. So that contextualization of AI interpretation before building a model is extremely necessary. I would give you another example, right? So there are these uh, tanks, war tanks, that are misguided as trees or bushes. And there was an ask to train an algorithm which could distinguish between real trees and tanks so that the army could be alerted, like sort of beforehand. Now, what happened was, the people who had to collect data to train this algorithm, one day they went into the jungle and clicked a lot of pictures of the trees and the bushes, and then came back. Next day they went to collect pictures of hundreds of tanks, misguided as these trees and bushes, and then they came back and they thought that, okay, we have collected enough data on tanks guided as trees versus trees, and now let's train an algorithm. So they trained an algorithm, but what they saw was that the algorithm was performing very, very badly. Why? Uh, there was nobody to understand. Like, I mean, you have done everything right. The data collection was right. The training was right. But the prediction was just completely random. So when you dug deeper into the algorithm, you would find that, okay, the day on which the pictures of the trees were clicked, it was a very sunny day, whereas the day on which the pictures of the tanks were clicked were a very cloudy day. So what the algorithm learned was distinguishing between a rainy and a cloudy day, and not actually distinguishing between trees and tanks. So now again, like, I mean, if the AI is not telling you why it is saying what it is saying, it's very, very hard to understand how it is making decisions, right? So you can make such huge errors. And especially when you are like sort of dealing with patients' lives, you have to be extra, extra cautious. Similarly, so when we started out our chest X-ray algorithm, we used to say normal, abnormal. But when we had to build out this interpretability, so if you look at underneath the algorithm, what was happening was that firstly it was saying that whether it is a chest X-ray or not, whether it is frontal view or oblique view, then it would analyze whether there is opacity or not. If there is opacity, whether it is in right upper region, right middle region, right lower region, or left lower region. And once you have done that, then you go on to say whether the tuberculosis risk is high or low. And once you have made all the predictions, you have also to mark out what are the regions where these abnormalities are present, right? So now when I say that this is an abnormal chest X-ray because this region makes it look abnormal, then the doctor actually understands, oh, okay, this is why AI is saying this. Now they're free to agree or disagree to that. But at least you are making them aware that it can be horribly wrong as well. But because the doctor has the proof of how AI is thinking, they can choose to accept or reject that result. So that's why I keep saying, like, interpretability in any AI algorithm is very, very essential, right? Now, coming to the use cases, right? So, there's a very famous quote by a very famous researcher in AI, Andrew Ng. He says that AI is the new electricity. What he means by that is that, like electricity, it's not going to become a huge industry on its own, but it is going to change the way all industries operate. So when electricity was invented, like, I mean, factories did not have a layout. Uh, Things were done in a particular way. But once electricity was there, like, I mean, factories were designed around the wires, around the cabling that was needed for electricity, and the entire industries changed like that. I mean, when I say industry, it is I mean, how you would build a car with electricity, without electricity is very, very different. So similarly, AI is going to revamp all such industries, right? And when you are building AI products, one of the core theme is that best AI is invisible, in the sense that uh, the person doesn't need to know whether this is AI or not. If your user, if your customer is having a good value added to their product, to their workflow, to their daily life, then it really doesn't matter whether they know it is AI or not. I'm giving you some examples from it. Say, for example, when you type on your keyboard, right? Uh, like, I mean, while you are typing, I had such a, it is giving you suggestions like whether you want to type great or lovely or great time. Now, this is AI. It is trying to predict the next word. But does it matter to us or our parents or our grandparents whether it is AI or not AI? I don't think so. Like, my father uses voice to text to put his comments on Facebook. It really doesn't matter to him whether he knows it is AI or not. What means is that, is it actually adding value? Secondly, like, I mean, if you go to your Google Photos app, for example, and search for dogs, it is able to find dog pictures of dogs for you, right? That is again AI. It's so beautifully intertwined with the product itself that you don't realize that it is AI. Thirdly, like, I mean, all of us use Gmail or any other form of email. You will see that Gmail categorizes your emails as primary email, social or promotion, spam, not spam. What is all that? That is all AI. But do we actually sit back and care whether it is AI or not AI? We have been using these things since 10, 12 years. They are so beautifully embedded in the workflows of our daily life that we really don't need to care about it. And when such solutions come to uh, clinical workflows, that is what you should expect. That if somebody is saying that you have to revamp your entire workflow just because, like, I mean, it has to now be AI powered, that's the wrong way to do things. The right way to do things is, uh, can you add value in the current workflow so subtly that people don't even need to know that it is AI, but they are just becoming much more productive? So I will give you an example, right? So let me give you a demonstration of uh, our own product. And I think that will give you a good sense of. Now, this is how the uh, radiology workflow looks like, right? Like, I mean, there's a list of patients, and you are like sort of uh, I mean, going through this list of patient. This is like a normal radiology workflow. What AI is doing is, it's basically adding layer of uh, uh, a layer of like sort of interpretation of its own. Basically, this report summary column that you are seeing, it's saying that this is abnormal or TB presumptive. Now, if you look at it, for example, you will see that uh, yeah, you would see that yeah. So this is basically the chest X-ray that was uploaded, and this is the AI overlay that was created, right? So if you actually look at it, you will see that the so many findings have been found. We have marked out where those findings are so that there is no interpretability problem. Then we have also marked out what has been found and what has not been found, so that doctor knows that these are the things that the AI has looked for. And we have also created a natural language report over here. So you can click on this, you can see this is a completely AI generated report, which the doctor can then edit or like sort of not edit if he agrees with it, and just save and move on. Similarly, I mean, we have created some filters over here. You will see that uh, like out of 1000, say like sort of out of almost 2000 scans, there are 1200, 50% of them are negative CXs. Negative means that there is nothing like sort of really wrong about them. So, I mean, if you just click on these filters, you will see that all those scans are like sort of filtered, and then you have created a mode called Swift reporting. So very, very fast reporting of just completely normal scans. It's like Tinder, right swipe, left swipe. So if you agree, you just save and proceed, and that report is reported because the report is generated, the secondary capture is generated. So if you just say save and proceed, it will save and proceed and open the next scan for you. That's like a right swipe. Or you can just say, if you don't agree, you can edit, or you can just skip and next. So these are sort of workflows that have been created. Similarly, you would see that not only just imaging AI, if you look at this scan, for example, uh, just a second. Yeah. So if you look at the scan, like it is captured at 5:39 p.m. and the report was generated by 5:40 p.m. So within a minute, you have a report. The AI is also asking whether you have collected the sputum test of the patient or not, because sputum of the patient or not, because you have to do the confirmatory diagnostic test. And then, like, I mean, it keeps sending you reminders about, like, sort of what is the next step for the patient. So all these workflows, like, sort of, it's the same thing. Like, I mean, any radiology scan is reported like that. It's just that AI has been beautifully, like, sort of embedded within it. Now, what is the impact it is creating? I will just explain with some examples. So this is our first deployment back in 2018 at Philippines, where what used to happen, this is actually a picture of a van. A van has an X-ray machine and some people working on it. The van will go from city to village. So Monday to Friday, it will go to 5 different villages. It will take chest. Patients will form a line outside the van. They will go one by one, capture their chest X-ray. Now there are no radiologists available in those regions, right? So 1 week scans will be captured. The van will come back to the city, where for 2 weeks, the radiologist will read those scans. So that's 3 weeks. After 3 weeks, they will know which patients are susceptible of TB. So the vans, the fourth week, will again go back to these hospitals and sorry, these villages. And then they will do the confirmatory test for them. If confirmed, they will give them medicines. Now, this entire cycle is of 4 weeks. You are screening really poor people, and most of the patients will not even come back after 4 weeks. Why? Because they are daily wage workers. They would not want to miss one more day of their wages just for another screening, right? So massive dropouts happen in these programs because of that. Now, what is happening? What happened here was, you'll see this chest X-ray over here. We have installed a laptop over here which has our AI on it. So now what is happening is, as soon as the patient is coming there, the AI is interpreting that chest X-ray for tuberculosis within a minute. It is reminding the workers to take sputum test and all that, capture all the reports, and then the patient is given medicine then and there, and then sent back home. So the entire cycle of 4 weeks gets reduced to just 5 minutes over there. So that, and through that, like, I mean, we have screened more than 200,000 people in Philippines. The TAT was reduced from weeks to minutes, and we found 9,000 extra cases, additional TB cases, because AI being much more accurate over there, right? Similarly, lung nodules, right? I mean, what we have seen is that 40% of lung nodules are being missed on chest X-rays. 36% of the ones that are being, like, sort of recognized are being lost to follow-ups, and 24% are the only nodules that are, like, sort of being worked upon. And with AI, what we have seen is that 94% of missed nodules are caught by QXR, our chest X-ray product, and we are diagnosing one new lung cancer patient for every 1,000 chest X-rays that AI processes, which means is basically, like, I mean, people are coming for getting these chest X-rays for any number of reasons, right? You had a bike accident, small fracture, or, like, I mean, annual health checkups by companies, or say things like pneumonia or cough, and they are being read for that particular reason. If you have pneumonia and your chest X-ray has been done, the doctor is reading that chest X-ray for pneumonia, right? Which is, I mean, absolutely all right, because the kind of burden that people have on them, today's doctors, I mean, there is just no time to, like, sort of do anything else. And this is where doctors and radiologists are actually present. We are working in countries like Lesotho, where there is just one radiologist in the entire country. We are working in a country called Malawi, where there are just no radiologists in the entire country. So there, like, I mean, even the first opinion from AI becomes extremely valuable because it is right then and there, right? And we are seeing doctors who are using, like, sort of 40, 50 X-rays a day, are reading 100 or 120 X-rays a day because they are now being supported by AI. And they also like it because it has their back, especially in US. Like, I mean, what we have seen is that there are a lot of lawsuits that happen because of missing a lung cancer on chest X-ray or chest CT scan. So an AI that has their back in that sense, they really like that. Yeah. Similarly, I mean, this is one case study from Haiti. Haiti, you might have heard, I mean, a huge like sort of earthquake happened there a few years ago. Now, over there, I mean, we ran a project in prisons of Haiti. Why prisons? Because prisons are really confined areas. Like, I mean, a small cell might have 5, 6 people living in them, and one person having TB means basically all of them are having TB, and no like sort of access to great doctors or great radiologists are present there. So again, similar setup, X-ray machine with an AI laptop, and we screened like sort of 3,000 people there, and the TAT reduced from 1 week to 1 minute. We did a great project in Mahakumbh this year in February, where again, Mahakumbh, again, if you look at it, like, I mean, millions and millions of people within just a few kilometers. So if anybody is having TB, the chances of TB spreading to others is extremely high. And there also, like, I mean, a lot of patients were having cough and like sort of pneumonia because, I mean, they were taking a dip in really cold water in winters. So all of these patients were coming to these hospitals. They were getting their chest X-ray done, and we were actually analyzing them not for cough but for TB. And what we saw was, like, I mean, 12% of those X-rays were flagged as TB presumptive, and 3% of them were found to be confirmed TB patients. And because it was a setup by the government where everything was free, like the X-ray was free, the AI reading from Qure was free, then the medicines were free. I mean, they were treated and sent back with medicines. But imagine, like, I mean, how much spread of TB can be prevented if we have a model where AI is at surveillance mode, looking at every chest X-ray for all kinds of findings. Similarly, we worked with BMC in Mumbai, where in their group of hospitals, we applied AI to all X-rays, in the sense that there is a TB department which is doing TB treatment for these patients. But what we said was that we want to do incidental screening. Basically, no matter which department the patient has come from, whether it is cardiology or pulmonology or trauma center, if a chest X-ray has been done, the AI will analyze it for TB. And what we saw was that there were 35% incidental TB cases identified in those group of hospitals. Again, over a lakh patients screened, 35%. So basically, these are patients who had TB, but the condition was not so bad that it would reflect in their daily life, or they would have very acute symptoms, right? They would have these symptoms, say, 1 year, 2 year down the line. But because AI is on surveillance mode there, it was able to spot it early. A, they were treated much earlier. B, they were not able to, like, and the disease could not spread to their family and friends. So it's a win-win for everyone, right? And we have run such programs in multiple states in India: Tamil Nadu, Nagaland, Chhattisgarh, Karnataka, Maharashtra, Rajasthan. And we're now trying to scale it up, like sort of at state level. We presented this work to the Prime Minister, Honorable Prime Minister, last year, and he was very appreciative of what we had done. We had also, just a second, we had also presented our work to Bill Gates, who is very much involved in the global health, public health scenarios of the world. Uh, Now coming to the future, right? And this is the last section of the presentation. I want to give you a glimpse of what the future might have, what we are seeing in our internal R&D labs, right? Take this example, right? Generative AI, like, I mean, it is able to generate new things. Now, first of all, like this X-ray has a lot of artifacts and devices in it. You see these wires over here. Uh, I can actually instruct uh, our foundational model to remove these artifacts and devices and generate a version of this chest X-ray, which looks like this. Right. Similarly, I can ask it to imagine a chest X-ray. So, for example, this chest X-ray actually doesn't exist in real life. It has been imagined by AI completely, like you would use generative AI to generate normal kind of images. And I instructed it to put a nodule over here. I can also ask the AI to like sort of increase the size of the nodule, right? And it will increase the size on the chest X-ray. Again, increase the size of the same nodule, it will again increase. Now, why are these things important? I would give you an example, right? When we initially trained our algorithm, we saw that the accuracies on X-rays of males was much higher than X-rays of females. Why? Because for the same set of diseases and conditions, the portion of males that reach a hospital are higher than females, and the portion of males that actually get a chest X-ray is also much higher than females because of various social stigma and like sort of how our societies are contingent. Essentially, women are less represented in the medical data set itself. So it's no wonder that AI would be like sort of less accurate on them. Uh, so how do you solve it? You basically solve it with generative AI. You generate a lot of synthetic data with particular kind of findings of females or children or whoever is less represented in the data set, and then retrain the algorithm using that synthetic data to bring accuracies at par. So that is something that we have done over the last 3 years. Uh, Similarly, we have seen that now countries are implementing AI surveillance programs in the sense that these countries will have all of their chest X-rays being surveilled by AI at a huge scale. So no chest X-ray will be reported in these countries without Qure.AI having a look at it for lung cancer and tuberculosis. And these are programs being started in Malaysia, El Salvador, Thailand, Colombia. And some of these countries are like of the size of Indian states, right? Like, Malaysia might be the size of Odisha, El Salvador might be size of Goa. So there is no, reason why we should not be able to replicate it in India as well. So we are talking to like sort of governments at various levels. We met the Honorable Health Minister and then Mr. Ashwini Vaishnav as well, and trying to implement such surveillance programs in India as well. For primary care center, we have launched a new product called IRA. IRA is basically a healthcare assistant. Now, again, it's launched this year, but this is what I want to show you because it will give you a very good glimpse of what future might look like.
Of patient-centric care. I'm an AI co-pilot for healthcare workers.
Is it audible now?
Yes, audible.
Designed to give them more face time with patients while supporting faster, better decisions. Let me show you our work at Robertsganj in rural India.
At Jew and Jody Christian Hospital, Dr. Dawn sees up to 40 patients a day with one nurse, one junior doctor, and one small room. A lot of time is spent on the paperwork process, and every moment spent on paperwork is a moment taken from care. But IRA is already changing care for Dr. Dawn and his team. Whether the clinic, community center, or other frontline setting, IRA captures patient history and prepares notes, ensuring no key detail is missed, all without filling another form.
The interaction which happens in the doctor's room between a patient and the doctor has a great influence in the getting well process of the patients.
During the consult, IRA listens in alongside Dr. Dawn. It writes what's said, captures what matters, and generates the report. It works across languages and runs on devices clinics already use. No missed notes, no second drafts, just a complete report ready to file.
Digital assistant will accurately, authentically, contextually will capture the communication which has happened and will give me a good transcript, which otherwise I would have to make myself.
With IRA, patients wait less, doctors engage more, reports are clear, and care moves faster. IRA helps health teams stay patient-focused by digitizing care with minimal training and maximum confidence. With IRA, Qure.AI is aiming to enable 50-plus LMICs to become high-performing by 2030. The first step of that journey starts now.
Now, what I wanted to clean through this video was that if you look at any new technology in any new field, right, like whether it is AI in healthcare, for example, technology doesn't enter the crux of a new field at once, right? It first enters through fringes. Now, what is the fringe of healthcare? Fringe of healthcare would be things like a TB screening program, or a like sort of lung nodule detection on an incidental basis. So these are like sort of not the core of healthcare, like right. The core of healthcare is happening inside hospital, heart surgeries, like sort of or maternal child health or diabetes and hypertension, right? These are the real challenges that are being faced by the healthcare as of today. But any technology, when it enters a field, it enters through fringes, and then ultimately, like sort of, it starts becoming mainstream, becoming part of the mainstream things that are being done in that industry, right? Say, for example, image interpretation, right? It was just tagging your friends on Facebook 10 years ago, right? But today, like, I mean, we are like sort of asking our Google Photos to like sort of understand text from images, or if we are traveling to a new country, we are using Google Lens on signboards and trying to translate them and understanding. So the transition from fringes to the core is not a very long journey in today's world, right? I mean, within 10 years, you can see these technologies coming to healthcare, and people who would be using these technologies will be able to do much more and much better than people who are not. It's like, say, computers entering, like, say, banking sector, right? Now, I mean, if you want a good job today, no matter whether it is in banking, whether it is in uh, industries, whether it is finance, whether it is wherever, right? I mean, you cannot expect to get a good job if you don't know how to type or don't know how to operate a computer, right? Because it has become basic necessity. It is how work is being done today. And I don't see any reason why that will not be true for AI in 15 to 20 years, right? AI will be changing the way in which we work, and the way we work will be massively transformed through it. So if you are not like sort of on top of it, not understanding it, like sort of, and you don't need to get into the nitty gritties of it, right? You just need to understand how it can add value. Can you do more with this? Is And if you are like sort of uh, eager to adopt such technologies, you would be far ahead of the curve, right? Uh, and I just wanted to illustrate that with one example from the medical industry itself. If you look at pathology, for example, right, in 1980s, blood cells used to be counted manually, right? Uh, and then, like, sort of today, if you look at it, 99% of those tests are fully autonomous. 81% reduction has happened in blood tests, so a lot more people are getting access to blood tests, and 82% reduction in time taken for a blood test, right? So it has been like sort of automated. It's not like, I mean, these blood mush. I mean, tests have removed human beings from their jobs. It's just that a lot more blood tests are happening and the same human beings are operating these machines, right? So it's like, say, for example, before cars or wheels were invented, if I'm producing grains in my farm, I could transport it on my back or an animal's back for, say, 10-15 kilometers. Now suddenly cars are invented, and if you start saying that, oh, okay, now cars will replace these animals, that's not usually the case, or trucks will replace these animals. What will happen is that trucks and cars will enable transport from 10 kilometers to now thousands of kilometers. Now, I mean, you are eating a chapati, the wheat is being produced in Punjab. If you are eating rice, it is being produced in Tamil Nadu. The potato you are eating is produced somewhere else. The fruits you are eating might be coming from some other country. So, why has that happened? Because the technology has empowered the same set of people to do much more. So instead of thinking that technology might replace human beings or something like that, what happens is that the same set of human beings are able to do much more. The possibility space itself like sort of expands a lot. So that's how, like, I mean, you should think about any technology entering any new field. And that's how, like, I mean, we are seeing that radiology is going through the transformation that pathology went through, right? I know a customer in Dubai whose team of 5 radiologists are scanning 4,000 x-rays a day. How? Because these are for visa screening. So most of them are normal, 80-90% of them. And all the normals are being reported through that left swipe, right swipe thing by a team of 4 or 5 radiologists. So that is the kind of change that can bring about, right? Now, what do you need to like sort of do all this? Like, I mean, it's a very hardcore science. We take a lot of pride in peer-reviewed publications. We were the first AI company to get published in the Lancet, which is one of the most reputed medical journals. We're published in Nature, Plus One, Clinical Cardiology. So you can read about these papers from our website. And then, like, I mean, we have contributed or collaborated with some of the best clinical institutions of the world, whether it is Harvard, Stanford, Erasmus MC, Mass General Hospital in USA. So all of a team of great doctors and data scientists have come together to produce this, and it has taken 10 years to like sort of go through this journey. I hope, like, I mean, our journey gives you a glimpse of what might come Uh, I would still say AI is at the fringes of healthcare, but it will not be long before it becomes mainstream. So that would be all from me. Thanks a lot. Happy to take any questions if there are any.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Ankit. That was a very interesting session, I must say. We do have some questions. Krishna Priya, you want to take some of them? Do you want to read out?
Yes, Tarna. So, Mr. Ankit, we have a question from Arun. So, how can medical students prepare themselves to work effectively with AI-based systems in the future?
I think you just have to like sort of be aware of the current research that is happening. Read through the medical journals where AI is making one of the things I'm seeing is drug discovery is going to get impacted a lot with AI, right? I mean, drugs can become a lot more personalized, and the entire cycle of 6-7 years of a drug trial can get reduced by AI. So just like keep yourself updated. There is no, it's not so mainstream that it will become part of your education as of today, but just being aware of what's happening. I think the key thing is not being dismissive about it. Oh, AI cannot like sort of even recognize this in this thing. How will it like sort of help a doctor or whatever? I think that dismissiveness should not be there. Just be aware that this is a technology like computers were 50 years ago, which is going to come and become mainstream, and just be aware of the noise that is around it, and don't take what's happening in AI in healthcare from news or Twitter or Facebook. Like that is a lot of hype without any real substance to it. But do follow the journals and the papers that medical students are supposed to read. Find out how, I mean, things are transforming there. I think that will give you a good sense of where things are going.
So, Arun, we hope that answers your question. We have one question related to the AI. Can AI ever replace the need for human clinical judgment, or will it always be a supportive tool? And what are the ethical concerns related to the patient data privacy while using AI in healthcare?
See, patient data privacy is very, very important. When you're building a company like this, you have to be compliant with GDPR and all the other laws around the world, which asks you to basically anonymize patient data before you like sort of make any predictions on it. What was the first part of the question?
So the first part is that, can AI ever replace the need for human clinical
Oh,
judgment?
see, yeah, yeah. So, see, I mean, that
Or is
is
it just like a supportive tool?
Yeah, yeah. So that's what I was saying. The right question is never whether AI is better than humans or not. The right question is, are humans much better with AI or not? Right. So I have never seen AI replace a radiologist, for example, but I have seen radiologists who are using AI replace other radiologists, because the same radiologist is able to do much more. And people who have not adopted technology, and also take a really long view of things, right? I mean, forget the last 10 years, 25 years. Let's talk about last 10,000 years, right? In last 10,000 years, a lot of technology has been invented. There was fire, there was wheel, there was like sort of automation, trains, cars, computers, and now AI. And in those 10,000 years, it has never happened that humans have worked less than before. Every time you feel like now this technology will take over and humans will be just they will be resting, there will not be much to do, and they will get replaced by AI. But what happens is that, like I said before, the possibility space gets expanded. The same human beings with the same tools are able to do much more than what they were doing before. It has never ever happened that humans have worked less than, say, 25 years ago in the last 10,000 years of human history. There is no reason why, I mean, that should change in the next 10,000 years as well. So, yeah, you just have to be aware of adopting the right tools. Yeah.
So we have one more question from Rushikesh. How AI is helpful in the treatment of diseases rather than the prognosis of the disease?
Like I said, I think there are different technologies being built out. One is imaging AI. I'm seeing a lot of companies trying out scribing, where, what is happening is that AI is taking over all the administrative tasks. Doctors are spending more times with patient, not with their computers or typing out or like sort of taking notes and all that. And it's like even in radiology, right? There's a company called nuance. I think some of the medical students might have heard about it, where you just dictate your radiology report, and then the speech to text technology is able to convert it into a radiology report, right? So such things will happen within treatment. I'm seeing that just for lung cancer, for example, right? Lung cancer patients are put on drug trials, and they have to go through multiple scans over the next few years, where you have to measure the progress of or the effect of the drug on them. You do it with something called as resist scoring. So now, I mean, resist scoring is also done on a scan, right? Like, I mean, so AI can help there as well. Within treatment, I said drug discovery is going to, get massively disrupted through it, because right now it takes a lot of time and we are giving the same drug to everyone. We might enter a future where the components or the chemicals inside a drug would be like sort of hyper tuned based on who is receiving that drug. So my body might have enough calcium. So the drug component, I mean, the calcium component in the drug might be lower for me and higher for somebody else. So hyper personalized drugs is where I see a lot of innovation happening over the next few years.
So we have a question again, that is, IRA or AI may have malified use by non-health professionals. So how would we prevent this?
So that's why we don't release our applications on Play Store, right? You will not find IRA on Play Store or any like sort of uh, easily downloadable from everywhere. So we basically don't give such applications in hands of patients or any other human being. It's basically we partner with the hospital and then we install these applications on certain devices, and only the people who are designated by the hospital are able to use it. So yeah, it's not a B2C Twitter, Facebook kind of app which anybody can download and start using.
Yeah. Ankit, I see a question. Student says, besides radiology, which are the other fields where we see the benefit of AI? And how do you think, how long it's going to take to integrate AI on a larger scale with other medical fields as well?
I'm seeing it. I mean, almost every profession, every field will get impacted, right? I mean, I'm seeing pulmonology impacted a lot. I'm seeing cardiology, like, I mean, even surgeries, right? I mean, robots are assisting with surgeries. Now, it might look like a robot and you might think, like, I mean, it's not AI, but it's AI trying to understand, like, I mean, what exactly, what is the exact tissue where you have to operate upon. So you never know. I think a good thing, good metric would be wherever you see image analysis, and then based on that image analysis some action is being taken by a medical professional, you can assume that that field will like sort of get impacted a lot. Like, say for example, even for a oncologist, for example, right? I mean, if you are getting data from the radiology department, pulmonology department, and like sort of patient demography, and then you have such data on thousands of patients, like it becomes very, you can still figure out individually what is going wrong with that patient, but at a huge scale you cannot find patterns to it. So what AI actually does is, like, I mean, say for example, IRA is collecting notes. 10 doctors are seeing 2 3 different patients on cholera in a small like sort of village in Africa, right? Now AI is actually reading like all the reports of all the patients, right? So it can actually alert the government or the like sort of healthcare system that it seems like there is a cholera outbreak, for example, right? Because different individual doctors are seeing 2 3 patients everywhere. But if you put that like sort of on a different scale, like that becomes a very very useful tool to for population health. So I mean, it's like I said while I started my talk, it's difficult to predict where it will be in 5 to 10 years. But think of it as something which uh, can really automate administrative tasks and is very, very good at image analysis. What can be done through that? I can also see, like, I mean, in 10 15 years' time, right now, like, I mean, you are learning surgeries on, say, like, sort of on bodies as of today, and there are limited amount of bodies, and then like I mean, not everybody gets a chance to. I mean, I can imagine a world in 15 years where medical students are practicing surgeries wearing an Oculus or a 3D glass, entering a virtual world where virtual bodies are present. Everybody can practice as much as they want. So, like, I mean, you never know, like, I mean, where innovation will come from. Yeah.
I mean, wow. I mean, one can only imagine all of this happening at this point of time. But yeah, I mean, one question which Tarini asked. I mean, it's you mentioned what are the fields where AI can be used. her question is other way around. What other fields do you see that AI can't replace humans in healthcare? Are there any particular field where you see AI can't replace humans? Are you on mute, Ankit?
I would say there is no field where humans will be replaced by AI. I will always say humans who are using AI will be doing much more than humans who are not using AI. It's the same thing as of today. If you use a computer, you do much more than, say, for example, very dumb example would be if I have to find some information today. I can go to Google and LinkedIn and find that information about, say, lung cancer. Whereas another person who never knew computers, who never knew what Google is, will have to scan through thousands of books in the library for the same piece of information. The first person will be learning much faster. The first person will be doing much better. So it's just like another tool. So nobody is going to get replaced. Everybody is going to do much more, much better than they were with AI. Yeah.
Right. Akash has a question that do you see your, any government tie-ups that your organization has done, especially with AIMS and Safdarjung, where we do have so many population of patients coming every
So we
day?
have run multiple studies with AIMS Delhi. We have published papers with them. In Delhi itself, like, I mean, Medanta runs a TV program with their vans where our AI is installed. I think more than 700, 800 sites in India today are using like sort of Qure.AI algorithm to interpret text images.
Great. I think there are a lot of other questions also, Ankit. I know there is a paucity of time. What we're going to do is we'll put them together and maybe just compile it and send it across. And whenever you have time, just respond and we'll send it out. Ankit, would it be
Sure.
okay if you share your LinkedIn profile with our students? And since most of our scholars are on LinkedIn, probably they can
Yeah, sure.
see it.
I'll leave my profile to you. Yeah, sure.
Sure,
Sure.
I'll
Thanks
share
a
it
lot.
with the students.
Yeah.
So before we wind up, Ankit, one last thought on, because the one common question that everyone has around AI is how will it replace? How will the future look like? Would humans be replaced by AI? I mean, just your final thoughts on the medical scholars who are on the call today and before we wind up.
Yeah. No, I think like, I mean, see, like, I mean, when we say that humans are going to get replaced by AI, we think that, I mean, I think it's a privileged position to take because all of us certainly have access to some kind of medical facilities. What I am seeing like across Africa, really rural regions in India and Southeast Asia is that there's a huge population who doesn't have any access to medical facilities and AI, right? So medical facilities or radiology expertise. So I would say that, I mean, there is a lot more to do than like sort of I mean, replacing existing human beings. So don't think that way. Like I said, within the last 10,000 years, a lot of technology has been implemented, and it has never happened that humans have worked less than before. What has definitely happened is people who have not been keen to learn and adopt such technologies have got left behind. So make sure that that is not happening. Keep reading about what is happening in AI in healthcare and be up to date. Be keen. Be the when all of you are going to join different hospitals, different clinics, and whenever there is an opportunity, be the first one to welcome such new technologies and welcome like sort of be the pioneers of like sort of such technologies in your healthcare systems instead of like sort of looking at them as something that is going to be bad for you because like yeah, it's a wave that is going to come whether you like it or not like it, so it's best to ride that wave instead of fighting it.
Absolutely. Very rightly said, Ankit. I think students is always best to be along with what is the trend and learn. Learning is something that should never stop. And learning is something that will only help you in your profession and also in your day-to-day life. With this, we come to an end of today's session. Ankit, would you have maybe a couple of minutes more to take questions or should we just close?
Let's take two more questions. I will have a hard
Okay.
stop at 12:15. So
Absolutely, just 2 minutes. We do see Tohida. Do you have a question? I see your hand raised. Do you want us to unmute you and ask? I'll allow you to ask question. In case you're there, please ask your question. Just maybe one or two more questions, Ankit.
Yeah, Haruna, we have a question about the use of AI for daily improvement in knowledge as a.
Okay, maybe this is
Yeah.
our last question. KP,
Yeah.
if you can just
All
read
right.
it once again. Yes.
So, how to use AI for daily improvement in knowledge as a INI CET aspirant?
Well,
So
I don't
Ankit,
know about this terminology in particular, but I would say there is a lot of help that AI can help you with learning. There is a tool called Notebook LM by Google, which I use a lot to learn anything new. So any PDF I'm reading, any videos I'm watching on a certain topic, I will dump all of that on that thread of Notebook LM. Say, for example, I'm learning about uh, uh, say whatever, like I don't know about cricket, right? And I'm learning about cricket. I will read a bunch of articles, I will watch a bunch of videos, but I will dump all of those in that Notebook LM thread on cricket. And then, like, I can keep asking it questions. It will answer questions back to me. It can create like sort of mock quizzes for me. It can create mock tests for me to test where so learning itself is going to change a lot. So if you are using tools like Notebook LM or even ChatGPT, it will help you a lot, like sort of, yeah. So that's what I said, like, be prudent about using technology. It's like reading books versus reading PDFs versus reading summaries now. So, like, all of that is important, but keep experiencing new ways of learning. Yeah.
All right, great. Thank you so much, Ankit. I think with this, we come to an end of today's session. Thanks a lot for taking our time and conducting this session with our students. All of this sounded complicated, but thanks for simplifying it for us and making us understand how useful AI can be in future. And it's already usage during at this point of time. Thank you so much, Ankit, and thank you so much, students, for taking your time and attending today's session. Please drop a note to us if you have questions, and Ankit, maybe I'll send across some of the questions that.
Sure.
All right.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Karuna. Thanks,
Thank you, Ankit.
Priya.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, FFE.
thank
Bye,
you so much,
everyone.
Ankit.